Yo, what is going on, guys? Tip here, coming at you with another Rocket League video. In today's video, I'm going to teach you guys how to make a thumbnail for a tutorial, a montage, or anything else you want to use it for. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. Okay, so like I said in the intro, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make a thumbnail. For my example today, I'm going to be making a thumbnail on how to hit a ceiling shot. So for any thumbnail that you're making, you're going to go to private match, create private match, and just go and start it up. If you're doing a tutorial-based thumbnail, you're going to want a picture of you doing whatever you're teaching. So for me, I'm going to be using a ceiling shot. It doesn't even the ball doesn't even have to go in. As long as the setup looks nice on the picture, you'll be fine. If you're doing an air dribble, same thing. Flip reset, same thing. Just make sure the setup looks nice. And if you're doing a montage, honestly, just a cool picture of your car will be pretty good for a montage. So let me go ahead and get a good setup on the ceiling shot. Again, it doesn't have to go in. We'll drive. We want to make sure the setup looks good. And again, I'm not even going to shoot it because it doesn't have to go in. I'll just prove to you guys that, the ball doesn't need to go in. Before you leave the match, be sure you hold down your replay button, save it, and make sure that you save the replay. So we're going to go into the replay, profile, replays, click on the very first one, and we're going to see how our ceiling shot setup turned out. So for this, you're going to turn the fly cam on and wait till your car gets closer to the ball. Once you are about to go for the setup, right about here, hold down if you're on PlayStation controller, it's X. If you're on Xbox, hold down A. It'll bring up this menu. Change your speed to 5%, and now you can skip forward with right on the D-pad, and it'll take you really slow. And this is just going to help you get that perfect picture that you're looking for. So I'll wait until I find an angle that I like. Okay, so I'm on the ceiling here. I'll stay upside down. The ball is close to my car, which is good. That makes for a good picture. And you're just going to keep pressing your back button until it deletes all the scoreboard and title on your player. And then you're just going to find the angle that you want. So you can see, like right now, my ball is on the left side, or the right side, I'm sorry. But I can change it to the left side. And I actually like the left side a little bit more. And notice how close the car is to the screen. Whenever you're making a thumbnail, you want everything to pop out because it's on such a small piece. So always mess around, get close, get far, see what you like. I think that is actually pretty good. And notice how I'm leaving some space on the right side of the screen. That's because that's where my text is going to go. So I want a decent bit of space for that. So now, once you have this, go ahead and do whatever method you are using to screenshot. You can do the screenshot button on Steam. You can open up a recording program, anything you want, and go ahead and take that screenshot. Once you take the screenshot, I will meet you guys on my desktop. Okay, now that you have the screenshot saved, I'll go ahead and open up the screenshot, and this is what it turned out to look like. Looks pretty good to me. So we can go ahead and exit out of that. You're going to go to this website called Photopea. This is where the free part comes in. I'm not going to be using Photoshop because I know a bunch of people don't have it. But Photopea is a online alternative to Photoshop, and it is a great website to use for making thumbnails, especially for free. So once you're here, you can just drag and drop your thumbnail. So my screenshot's here. I'll drag and drop, and here we are. So the first thing you're going to want to do is make an outline of the car and the ball. So to do that, what you're going to do is make sure background layer is selected. Go over here to this lasso looking tool, hold down and click polygonal lasso select, and that's going to make it to where you can click, 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 and it will move to your clicks. And then once you're done, you just connect the lines and you'll be done. So once you do that, I'll just click undo. Once you outline the entire car, I'll show you what to do. I'll speed this process up because I know it's super boring, but just follow along. Okay, so as you guys can see right now, I am almost done. I'm about to connect the last piece. So once you are done, you'll see this outline once you connect everything. You're going to click on your move tool, and then you're going to right click. Oh, it's not going to work on this version. So once you're here, you press Control C to copy and Control V to paste. It'll ask you if you want to allow text and images. Click allow. And then redo it. So Control C, Control V. Make sure the background layer is selected, sorry. Control C, Control V. And now this will give you a car layer. Let me zoom all the way out. This will now give you a car layer, excuse me, that you can move around. So we're gonna put it back on top of the car. And the reason that we cut it out is because now we can add effects to just the car. So if you wanna add a little outline, a lot of people add a white outline, and you can make it a little bigger. Some people like to add a white and a black outline. So if you wanted to do a white and black, you would just go to your layer 1, click duplicate layer. You would go to the bottom one. You would turn the stroke to black, and then you would increase the size. And as you can see, now I have a black outline and a white outline. I personally like this. I think it makes the car pop even more. So I will leave it. Let me decrease the size to what I want. I just like a subtle black. I like the white to pop a little more. So yeah, and what this also does is whenever we add a text layer, if you want it to be behind the car, you're able to do that. So now we're gonna select the background layer, and we're gonna highlight the ball as well. So we're gonna do the same process. Go over to your polygonal lasso select. You're gonna outline the ball and do the same thing. Go over to move tool, Control C, Control V, paste that ball. And yeah, I'll see you guys once I'm done with that. Okay, now that we are connected, again, we'll do the same thing. Move tool, make sure our background layer is selected, Control C, Control V. Now that gives us a ball that we can move around. We'll put it back. And we're gonna do the exact same thing here. We're going to, first we're gonna check on our white layer on our car. Oh, where'd the black go? Must have erased it. So to fix that, we will just go back here, change it to black, increase the size a little bit. Okay, so the black was 16, and we'll check this. So also, I forgot to mention, to get to layer style, just double click on it, or you can click on the layer and click on this EFF down here, and then blending options. It'll bring you up to this little sub menu. Okay, so our white is at 16. Our white's at 11, our black is at 16. So we'll do the same thing here. We'll change this to white, and we want that to be 11. And then again, we'll duplicate this layer, go to the bottom one, stroke, we'll go to black, and we'll make this one 16. I just do that so it's consistent with the car. And for this, the white actually looks a little bit too much for my liking. So instead of matching the car, we're going to go down a little bit. Because the ball is a lot smaller, I just think it looks kind of bad that the outline is that thick on it. So we'll just try to get the same kind of look, and yeah, that's looking good to me. Another thing that we're going to do to add some depth is we're going to go to this background layer. We're going to go up here to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and as you guys can see, now the background is getting blurred. That is a little bit too blurry for my liking. I still want the viewer to be able to see the goal in the background, because if it's just super blurry like this, all you can see is the car and the ball, then you don't really know what's going on. So I like to, obviously I don't want to keep it at 0.1 because that's just basically the same. So I like it like that. You can still see the field in the background. And yeah, that's looking good. So now what we're going to do is click on background, and then we're going to create a new layer that's going to make it right above the background. And this is going to be our text layer. So for text, you're going to click on this type tool, click anywhere in here, and it's probably going to start off super small. So I'll do how to, and I actually like for my thumbnails to be in all caps, so we'll do how to. And as you guys can see, it is very small, so we will increase the font size until it gets to somewhere that we like. So that's max font. It's probably going to change once we change the font, but for fonts, I like to use a font called Impact. Of course, it's not going to be on here. If you guys want to custom load fonts, you can always click load font and go load in a font that you want. But for me, I'm just going to use something default because, like I said, this is going to be a free video. And this is where the beauty of the thumbnail comes in. It's your preference, your video. You can make whatever font you want. You can make the thumbnail however you want, whatever colors you want. That is all up to you. So I'm just going to scroll and find a font that I like. Actually, this one's looking pretty good. How to... Yeah, that's not bad. I actually like that one. Little... kind of bubbly, but pretty sharp as well. Pretty bold. So yeah, I like that one. And as you guys can see right now, the font is maxed. And it's not going to make us... It's not going to allow us to make it any bigger. So to make it bigger, we're going to go to our how-to layer down here. We're going to make sure we're on that. Press Control-Alt-T, and that is going to bring up this menu, and it will allow us to change it how we want it. And press Control-Alt-T. If you just move it, it'll stay the same scale. If you hold down Shift and move it, you can adjust length and width, stuff like that. But I like it whenever it is scaled properly. So we'll do how-to, and then I will duplicate this layer so it stays the same size. We'll move it down. We'll go to our text. We'll delete this. And I will type in ceiling, and that's going to take up the whole space. And then we'll duplicate this again. Move it down. And we'll change this to shot. And I want all of this to be lined up on the right side. So you can use the ruler. That's one thing that is much better about Photoshop, is it automatically locks stuff. But at the end of the day, it doesn't have to be perfect. So we'll do how to, and this is another reason that we cut out the ball, is because now we can put our text behind it and it gets that really cool effect. So yeah, we will try to line these up as best we can. Let's see if I can, if there's a way to snap lock guides, maybe. We'll see. No? We'll try another one. Guides from layer. Yeah, I think that's what we want. Shot. Yep, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to turn on that. I'm going to move this down and spread it out a little bit more. Just so it looks a little bit better. I got to remember that the ball is there as well, so we want that to look pretty decent. And we'll move the how-to, we'll line it up. And that is looking pretty good. We'll move the ceiling up a hair. Okay, perfect. Now we can turn off that lock guides and guides from layer. Oh no, I don't want any of that. I typically never do this. Sometimes it does it by default. Sometimes it doesn't. So, oh, here it is, clear guides. Okay, perfect. So now that we have all that how we want it, we can start doing our text effect. So we're going to start off on the how-to, and you'll see that we only need to do this once, and I'll teach you guys what to do from there. So you can either do a single color, or you can do a gradient. And I prefer the gradient overlay, and what I like to do is type in on Google best color palettes. And what that'll do is show you the best colors that match together. So I will pull up a tab and be right back. Okay, so as you guys can see, I typed in on Google best color gradients, and this brings me to this website. And you can honestly just scroll and find one that you like, or you can make your own. It's completely up to you. So for me, I am really liking this one called Can You Feel the Love Tonight? So as you can see, this number here, hashtag 4568DC. So to interpret that, what we're going to do is open up our gradient, and this color over here, we're going to double click on it, and where this hashtag is where we will type it. So we'll go back, we'll copy this number, and then we can paste it here. Click OK. And then the second one, we will do the exact same thing. We'll copy, go back, we'll double click here, go into the hashtag and paste, click OK. And now we get that gradient that we just found online. And that is looking pretty good. You can also change the angle here if you want more on one side or more on the other. I will just keep it at 90 because that's what I like. You can also change the scale if you want it to just be like, that's basically not even a gradient anymore. But I will just leave it at its default 100 because that's what I like. And yeah, that's looking pretty good to me. So we will click, or not click, we'll just leave that how it is. Now we can go to stroke, we can add this outline. So again, this stroke you can make whatever color you want. The white outline seems to pop a lot. Black outline is also good, a bunch of people use that. You can also spice it up and do something else. A lot of like, I don't know, whenever you don't have a black or white outline, like this kind of just looks amateur to me, so I don't really do it. But yeah, I will put the stroke to about 7. I think that looks pretty good. And now we can move on to the next thing. Drop shadow. This is where, to me, it starts to look really good. So we'll put the opacity to 100. For the angle, I really like the 120 degree down and to the right. I just think that looks good. You can also change the distance, how far you want it. I think that looks good, 32. And the size, you can make it super, super dark, or you can make it kind of faded. I like a little bit of fade, but I also like to keep the integrity of the letters. So yeah, that's looking good to me as well. Now we can move on to the inner glow. This doesn't really change much, as you can see, so I usually just leave it blank. And the best part about this is you guys can make this to however you like. So once we're done with that, we'll click OK. And now we can right click and where is it? We'll open up our layer effects. Where do we go? I think everything will be the same by default. There is a button to copy layer effects. I don't know where it's at on Photopea, but everything should be the same. So we'll just go on to the next word, which is ceiling. We'll add our stroke. And as you can see, it matches it because that's the most recent thing we did. We'll go to gradient. Again, it's going to match it, and we'll do drop shadow. So now everything is perfectly matched. We'll make sure that... Okay, yeah, so we just have drop shadow, gradient, and stroke. Good. Now we'll move on to the last one. Drop shadow, gradient, and stroke. All that's looking good. And if you would rather have the gradient go from here to here, you can link all of these layers. So to do that, we'll control click on all of the layers that we want. We'll right click and we will click convert to shape, and then we will click rasterize. And then, where is it? Oh wait, no, I don't think we had to do any of that. Let me go back. I think it's just merge layers. Yeah, okay, so now that we have the merge layers, we can do the same thing. Stroke. If we want the gradient overlay, it can look like that. But since we already did all of this other stuff, it's going to take it off. So what we'll do, just to show you guys what it looks like, I will hide all of these effects. Now I will merge the layers. And now the gradient overlay will stretch from left to right. And I actually prefer this one, which is why I saved it for last, because I figured a bunch of other people would prefer it. And since everything is linked now, you can adjust the size and everything else you want. The stroke, I'll see how this looks with black. I actually kind of like the black, so we will leave that how it is. Another thing that I like to add is I'll go to my folder. Where is it? YouTube, Photoshop stuff. And this Rocket League PSD, or not PSD, PNG, I like to just add it in one of the corners. That looks nice. And the final step is I like to go to background, image, adjustments, hue, saturation, and here you can mess with the brightness of the background. So you can mess with the hue, that's going to change the colors. I don't really mess with that. I typically mess with the saturation and lightness. I like to make it a little bit darker, so like more black and white is what the saturation adjusts. So I like to add it a little bit darker. Reason for that is it makes my text and everything else pop a little bit more. And then the lightness, you can mess with that a little bit. I typically do not mess with this one, just because even a little bit, it makes a huge difference. So saturation we'll keep at a -15. And yeah, that is looking pretty good. You can also add like little splotches of light in the corners if you want. I tend to avoid that. But yeah, you can always go back and make adjustments to any of this stuff. And that is the basics on how to make a thumbnail. Again, all of this stuff would change depending on what the thumbnail is. You could have a picture of you air dribbling. You could have a picture of just your car with a bunch of effects. And that's the best part. It's all up to you. So hopefully this video was a good starting point. I know this wasn't like the most in-depth thumbnail. Typically I spend a little bit more time in my thumbnails than this, but this is a general idea. And again, this is using a free website. Photoshop is obviously much better than this, but the basics are here so that you don't have to spend any money. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a like, drop a comment, and let me know what you guys want to see next. I'm Tip, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Quick note before I go. To save this, click File, Export as, JPEG, make sure the quality is at 100, and click Save. And here it is. You can drag it wherever you want. That's probably very important to mention. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.